right, Tim, what's your question?
All right.
Robert, last quarter, we had Jack Daly talking to us about building teams of A players. You've really communicated your understanding of that human connection. What's the one thing that you look for in a new A player?
The first thing I look for is where we need the A players. Because trying to build a team of just A players is like saying I'm going to build a basketball team and only hire Michael Jordans. It's never going to happen. You are never going to build a large-scale, scalable business with just A players. Never going to happen. So but you need more U's, I'm assuming you're an A player, to round out the team. So the first thing is...
You guys shouldn't laugh at that. It's not nice. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, give the guy a break, all right? Okay.
So the first thing is, where do I need them? If you're great at sales, then I want an A player who's great at network or operations or something like that. The second thing is, and I've had to, learn this over time. Again, hand on the stove. Ow, that really hurt. One of the greatest things I look for in an A player is their ability to lead a team. What I used to look for when I was smaller in an A player was somebody who could do it.
Do the job.
So I just hired a CRO, Chief Revenue Officer. Mm-hmm. Up until about a year and a half ago, I would have never hired this guy. You know why I've never hired him? Because I don't think he's the best sales rep out there. Because if you're going to lead my sales organization, man, you better be the best sales rep out there. We have over 1,000 people. There's nobody who can do enough heavy lifting to get us over the finish line every single quarter. So I hired a guy who has a proven ability to build the people underneath them. Because to build scale, you're actually going to have to hire a lot of B players, and you're going to have to make decisions about your C players pretty quickly. So if you have somebody at the A level who can make that and continuously make people Bs, get the Cs out of the organization, then it takes off a lot of time for you.
It's like Jack Welch. He had the top 20%, the middle 70, and the bottom 10. And Jack was called Neutron Jack because he always fired the bottom 10%. He said the 70% are the heart and soul. That's why you have systems and process. That's what I learned from you. And I tell the story with your level 1 engineers. I remember we came into your office, which I would love to do again. Would that be a ridiculous idea if we would come up to your...
Our office is now in Kansas City, our head office.
Okay.
Which is amazing.
All right. So, but you had
Don't
said...
go to Kansas City, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You will gain 15 pounds.
Okay.
They have the best barbecue in the world.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
all right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you were talking about your engineers. It may have been even your HR person when we were there, and you said you tried forever to retain these level 1 engineers, and it was just really hard, and so you finally figured out that we're only going to keep them for about a year, and after a year, they're either going to be recruited away somewhere else, we're going to fire them because they suck, or we're going to give them opportunity up. So you really dialed the systems and processes of that in. That's like with our SDRs or different levels, is systems and processes for the middle, but you have to have good leadership.
I'll leave you with this, Tim. Something I had to learn, and again, I don't want anybody in this room to think I know all this. I'm literally telling you, hand on the stove, burn 20 times. Biggest thing I've had to learn in hiring, from being small to running a relatively large business, is I used to have this saying, I was so proud of this, I would never hire somebody I couldn't sit next to on a transatlantic flight. Because, we got to get along. And now I realize, oh my God, that is such BS. So the guy I founded my company with, who's been with me now 30 years, never been to his house for dinner.
George?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I have a huge amount of respect for him. He has a huge amount of respect for me. But you know what? He's just a different guy than me. The things he likes, I don't like. You don't need to hire friends. And I learned this when I went to training. I like to work out and stuff. And the Army Rangers invited me to the training session.
Oh, that's cool.
Kicked my ass.
Yeah, it's cool.
Kicked my ass.
That'd be fun.
And at the end of it, we had a debrief with the major or corporal that ran the entire training facility for the Army Rangers. And if anybody from the military, you know how hard it is to become a Ranger. And I made a comment to him. I said, oh my God, these are all A players. Like if you're 1 out of 73 people who apply get into the Rangers. I think there's only 2,500 active duty Rangers in the entire U.S. Like, it's impossible to get in. And they're all A players. And I said to him, oh my gosh, when these guys like aren't in combat or on duty, they must hang out all the time. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that? And I said, because they're such a great team. And he said, you don't understand the meaning of teamwork. Teamwork is not a bunch of people who like each other. Teamwork is a bunch of people who respect each other and understand the mission and the goal of every person on that team. If they happen to like each other, that's okay, but it is not a criteria for me to build a great team. And I was like, whoa.
That's a great lesson.
Because I'm only hiring people I want to have lunch with.
Right.
Who am I going to have lunch with tomorrow?
Right. And you know, it's funny you say that, because there are people, like if you are growing a business and you are running it, there may be people who do a fantastic job, but you have wildly different ideas and philosophical, political viewpoints and stuff like Megan. She hates me pointing her out, but like Megan, die hard Bernie, right? Sanders, like, you know, and I'm not. Let's just say that. Okay, but here's what's funny. So back when Trump was running for all of our election, I said, look, if Trump wins, I'm going to give you a raise, right? You know, just to mess with her. But no, what the point is, it's funny but we get along great. Do you know what I mean? In other words, like, you can have different religious backgrounds, belief systems, political views, and the key word you said is respect. Because as long as I respect her and show her respect for her viewpoints, and she respects me, and we know what the goal is, then we get along like peas and carrots.
One of the greatest values everybody gets out of Robin, not to toot your horn, is one of the greatest challenges when I was small was you begin to drink your own Kool-Aid. Meaning, you have a business, you're the boss, we're a dissenting voice on your strategy. How do you know what good looks like? You know, and I built a pretty big business thinking, like when we sold to the equity firm, we're about 250 million. And first thing they did, because, you know, they run a $70 billion fund, they invest in 170 companies. They showed up one day and they said, oh, this is great, love to have you as part of our family. Here's a book of world-class metrics for your business. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, well, here's exactly what your margin should be. Here's exactly how many calls you should be making. It was a book. And guess what? We were nowhere near those world-class metrics. But I realized, who was telling me that? It's not like you're calling one of your competitors and saying, hey, I lost this deal. Why don't we huddle and figure out why I lost it? And I think if you have people on your team with different voices, that always helps you. Because you're not going to win by being the same. You got to be different.
Right. 100%. I think that's great. All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap up. Thank you, Tim. Let's hear it for Robert.